What up, y'all? Welcome to episode 12 of That Time in Hip Hop, a hip hop video podcast about the nostalgia, the history, and more importantly, the preservation of hip hop music and culture. I am Vegas, host of this podcast and of Hip Hop Now podcast, the audio version. I got with me my partner in crime, Tone of IntoTheDome.com. What's good, man?
Good man.
Good, man.
Like I said earlier, I'm just playing this kombucha. Good mushrooms, healthy, I believe.
That's drugs, homie. That's
Hey,
drugs.
that's what they say.
I live in Jersey, and I'm waiting on the verdict to come through, so I could not that I don't do it anyway in my house, but make it official, walk the streets and get some other herbs in the system.
No
But that's
question.
not what this podcast is about. This podcast is about, like we said, man, it's about the rappers, the events, the producers, the labels, things that shaped hip hop music, dating all the way back from the late 70s to the early 2000s, maybe the 2010s. And we basically talk about it all, man. We try to give our perspective, but what we want to know more importantly is what you think about some of the things we talk about. That's what the comment section is for, man. Watch this podcast, go down there, leave your comments, subscribe if you like what you see, hit the like button if you like what you see. But most importantly, share it with people you know enjoy this kind of content, because a lot of times, Tone, you go across the internet and people who love hip hop and maybe don't have the time to look around like some of us do, they don't even know things like this exist on the internet. You know what I'm saying? They only know what's being presented to them.
Exactly.
Uh, but let's get right into the business at hand. We like to open up the show with a segment called This Week in Hip Hop, and that can be the release of an album, the anniversary of anything. But today, it's a birthday. It's a birthday for a female MC in hip hop. Her name is Lil Kim. You know what I'm saying? When was she born? Born July 11th, 1974. Lil Kim.
Blessings to the Queen Bee. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, she has her mark in hip hop history, rapping alongside of Biggie, being one of the faces of Bad Boy and Junior Mafia. You know, you can say what you want to about her, but she definitely has impact and legendary status, man. And even after Big passed, it's not a secret that Big wrote for Junior Mafia. But even when he passed, she had a couple of big hits after that, and and kept the party going, and still noted for the legendary Quiet Storm remix that's still rocking clubs all over the world. Her hardcore album and hardcore album cover that I had on my college dorm wall.
Yeah, everybody had that.
No doubt. Immortalized her, to say the least. You know what I'm saying? But Hardcore is a dope album, and she has a lot of dope singles after that. And, blessing to the Queen Bee, man. She's still a legend, like her or not.
Yeah, I think at that point in time between her and Foxy Brown, bringing some, not that groups like Salt and Pepper didn't already do that, but bringing a different type, a more raunchy, more parallel with the male rappers, as far as the sex appeal and kind of. I think what I liked most about Lil Kim back then was the fact that she was like what we became used to from hearing from dudes. All the time in hip hop we
Yep.
used to hear from our perspective, when it comes to ladies and stuff like that. And Lil Kim was the total opposite of that. And I think her being that way, but still representing the females, not only empowered some females to, embrace their sexuality, but also made fans out of some of us dudes, because, you could call hip hop misogynistic, but we didn't shy away from Lil Kim's version of doing that. You know what I'm
And you know
saying?
what?
Because it was,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and we shouldn't have, because again, the male MC always talked about his sexual pleasures and his
exactly.
his thoughts and stuff towards women and partying and relationships and all that. So She gave the female version. She didn't give the version that a lot of people didn't want to hear at one point. As far as women shouldn't talk like that, yeah, but they feel a lot of them feel the same way about sexuality and the way they look at males and stuff too. So I mean, that part was important for her and Foxy at the time because it was shocking because you had before that, of course, you had the Salt and Pepper. You had MC Light was more of a b-boy. You had Queen Latifah was more conscious. Harmony, Love, Ladies First, all of that jazz. Then you had Lauryn Hill coming out with early Fuji albums and singles and stuff, and Ladybug from Diggable Planets was more of a conscious, soulful jazz. So yeah, Kim and Foxy, they're the reason why the Eves and other artists after them was able to kind of mix sexy and lyrics into their character. So yeah, they changed the game, they changed the culture, they rhyme alongside of Biggie, Nas, Jay. I mean, Jay-Z is on the first track on Lil Kim Hardcore album. You know what I mean? So it was
Yeah,
rapping with some of the dopest rhyme MCs in New York at the time. So, you know, again, this ended up popping off with and took my Be Quiet Storm to a whole nother level. You know what I'm saying? Then turn
absolutely.
around, yeah, and then turn around and was on what Lady Marmalade with with some of the biggest female artists in music. So yeah, the impact is there, man. So yeah, happy birthday, Lil Kim, man.
Yeah, and I think for the most part, man, Hardcore is a classic album from a female MC. Um, some people may look now and feel like she's washed up. Even though when she made that Nicki Minaj diss track, where she had the video, that was kind of hard. It was a different time in rap, so a lot of people ignored it because they just was like, "Oh, you're hating."
Right.
But she came through with some bars. It just didn't get recognized as
Yeah,
much
and
as
she
when.
still, you know, yeah, she still is a Brooklyn MC. So I mean, she
Yeah,
still can go where she want to go. She's focused and she sit down and get her rhymes together. She can still give you a little something, and at the same time, her energy, her dope voice. Kim always had a dope voice. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, she has a lot of people who, even Nicki Minaj, who's a huge pop star now. But let's keep it real. She took a lot of the persona from Lil Kim once she really started popping up. You can go back and look at the pictures, her videos, and some of her photo shoots and stuff like that. I mean, the influence is there. You know what I'm saying? There's no denying that. And Lil Kim influenced a whole group of MCs after her.
no doubt, man. So happy birthday to Lil Kim. You know what I'm saying? Do your knowledge on Lil Kim and what she's done in this hip hop game because it's not necessarily about, where you see her now or what you think about her music now. She has hits. If we had a hip hop hall of fame, she's first ballot. I'm just telling y'all, it's just facts. Uh, but now we're going to get into what makes this show that time in hip hop, where we focus in on one topic at hand. If you could tell by the album cover that's right behind me, it's Lil Wayne's The Carter 3, That Time in Hip Hop. Tone, take us through that particular time in hip hop when Lil Wayne dropped Carter 3.
I think the anticipation was at an all-time high because that first Carter was very successful. The second Carter to me is a hip hop classic. And during that same time period, Lil Wayne was featured on a lot of artists' projects. I'm talking about from underground artists like a little brother to the biggest artists in pop music and hip hop music. So people was anticipating to see what was next. Like I said, he had out some of the dedication mixtapes and other mixtapes coming out. So it was kind of like, okay, can Lil Wayne finally put it all together? Can he bring it all together at this time in his career and at this time in hip hop? In June 2008 when the Carter 3 was released. And I'm gonna tell you, he a lot of pop dropped and it went all over the world, man. You could not turn the radio on. You couldn't turn MTV, BET without the Lollipop video. And that a Millie came out as another single, and every mixtape MC wanted to ride over top of it. It had a huge impact on the underground. That it was always on the radio, and things of that nature. So he had the singles. When the album dropped, it was big. It felt like a big project. It felt like a classic he pushed 1 million copies in the first week, man. You know what I'm saying? It ended up selling almost 4 million records. So the impact was there, but it wasn't just some commercial attempt either, because he had the tracks on there. Like, again, he had Mr. Carter on there with Jay-Z. He had tracks with Fabulous and Joel Santana. We'll get into some of these tracks at some point during the show, man. But it felt big. It was big. And at this point in time in hip hop and his career, he actually became the number one MC for this period of time. So it was huge.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was also very polarizing because it opened up a big debate with him being the number one MC. I think he was more the number one rapper, which to me kind of more entails record sales and exposure and spins, because Lil Wayne had spins on lock. Like Tone said, he was doing features with everybody. It didn't matter how big he was. That's one thing that's cool about Lil Wayne. If he rock with you and rock with your music, and you want to do a feature, in a couple of cases, he ain't even charging cats. You know what I'm saying? Because he just loved the game. But he was so overwhelming with the mixtapes being dope and the singles being dope. And eventually, like Carter 3 is probably my favorite album from him, even though I really like the Carter 2. But I feel like the Carter 3 was more so like the sweet spot for Lil Wayne as far as his lyrics, as far as the beats he chose. I remember looking at the back of the cover and saying, yo, Lil Wayne got a song with Babyface. That has to be trash,
Right. And
because it
it was
doesn't
nice.
sound like a perfect connection. But that is probably my favorite song. Like, that's a song when I'm listening to that album, I have to repeat it. Other songs I rock with them and I move on to the next record. That's one of them. I just love the vibe. I love the lyrics. His lyrics in particular. Babyface was obviously used well, but like it was crazy in 2008 because there was definitely a shift happening with hip hop. We wasn't bombarded with mumble rap yet, and people weren't really feeling. Some people weren't really feeling Lil Wayne's like really basic metaphors and similes, and not necessarily the fact that they didn't make sense, but the fact that you're calling him the number one dude, and then this is the what he's presenting, but you
Well,
could not on it. You know what I'm saying? Because
let
it
me,
sounds
yeah.
dope.
Let me say this too, though. Because some people think that, and sometimes we can be hip hop nerds, especially guys like us in our 40s who grew up with early Nas, Biggie, some of the, lyrical MC, Andre 3000, et cetera, et cetera. So then we lived through the sound bomb in the Rockets era. So, we can kind of be real picky when it comes to rhyming. Now, Lil Wayne might have had a basic style to a degree, but he was also clever. But it was also lyrics that people could sing along to, rap along to, and really enjoy him as an artist. Because one thing people forget, just because you got a lot of deep lyrics, metaphors, all this stuff, doesn't make you a dope MC or a dope artist, rather, making good songs. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Making songs is an art. And Lil Wayne went through one point where he was making very good songs, like the song you were talking about with Babyface "Comfortable" was produced by Kanye West. It's a boom bap beat. You know what I'm saying? But Lil Wayne was rhyming on it in a dope but basic style where you can kind of feel the song and feel where he was coming from with it. Now, whenever he wanted to really rhyme, he could really rhyme. You know what I'm saying? He has a lot of clever lines there and clever metaphors and stuff like that. That's not just punchlines or something like that. So Lil Wayne started to become a complete artist on the Carter 3. You know what I'm saying? So I think the best rapper alive was a good marketing plan, good gimmick, good, because most MCs feel like they're the best anyway, especially you get to a certain level. You don't feel like you're the best, then what you rhyming for? You know what I'm saying? So he's saying that a small part of him kind of felt like, well, at least I'm the hottest right now. You know what I'm saying? If nothing else. So I mean, his rhyme style. I think you go back to some of them mixtapes, you'll hear him really, really spitting. You know what I'm saying? Because those were the actual songs. It's more freestyles over beats. You know what I'm saying? But when he did the Carters, and then the Carter Three, of course, that we're talking about right now, song structures were good, man. It was a good album. It was dope.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Like he was like it or not, he was the hottest rapper at that point in time, and that was built up from like grinding, and more importantly is the fact that he was already like 10 years deep in the game, coming off the Hot Boy stuff, coming off of his first solo album, which was in 1999. So let me pose this question to you. Um, with this album in 2008, and Lil Wayne's status as far as the rhymes and the mixtapes and all of that, do you feel like he elevated the South to another level, or again, like Outkast did?
I do, because there's certain, hip hop is about certain shifts. Every 3 to 5 years, there's a shift in the culture. You know what I'm saying? 80 to 85, 85 to 90, 90 to 95, 95 to 2000. You know what I mean? 2000 to 2000, like 4 or 5. If you go back and look at what happened in each 3 to 5 year period, there were monumental albums or songs or MCs or groups that shifted the culture, shifted whatever city or region they were in. And same way Outkast did with Southern Playalistic, and leading on up in 94 to like 96 with ATLs, and then 98 with Aquemini. They had a 3 to 5 year span where they completely took the South and elevated all the way up so you can have a Little Bit and T.I. and all of that. Now, yeah, we had UGK and all of them even prior to Outkast, and they did it great for the region. But Outkast changed the culture in the South. So what Lil Wayne did, of course, like you said, with the Hot Boys, they came out in '99. You know what I'm saying? So, but they was more still regional, and they kept popping, and around 2001 or two, they became more on a national, basis, national landscape. Excuse me. But with Lil Wayne, Carter Three, the popularity, the impact after Lil Wayne's Carter Three, a lot of rappers from the South started kind of mimicking his style, mimicking his look. Kids in the hoods in the South started mimicking his look. So he totally changed the culture of hip hop South, and not just the music, the rap music part, but the hip hop culture part. So he absolutely is a part of that 3 to 5 year span of elevating the entire part of hip hop. You can't deny that. And anyone denying that, either you were sleepwalking through during 2008, and or you just don't like Lil Wayne. You know what I'm saying? But his impact is his impact. He absolutely is one of the forefathers of the South. Now you have to give that credit. A legend of the South, a legend in hip hop. He did shift the culture.
Yeah, I think he did it in a way, to me, and like between, like, by the time this album came out, I was already back in the tri-state area in Jersey, New York, and all of that. But back when it was Hot Boys and that whole Cash Money, that early Cash Money time, I was in Baltimore, and they were huge then. Like them clubs in DC and Baltimore radio, and even when I would come to NY, Bling Bling and all that, and High, and all of that, Cash Money was all over the radio.
Yeah, yeah.
But when the Carter 3 came out, I don't feel like he changed South culture only. I think he ushered in, like you said, a new version of hip hop. Like you said, dude started getting locks like him. You know what I'm saying? Dude started looking like him, dressing like him,
Yep,
getting taxed like him,
yep.
rhyming like him. I saw it happening in B-More. I saw it happening in the tri-state. Maybe not overwhelmingly, um, but I definitely saw a shift. He kind of helped to open up a generation, because with Outkast came, and even like with Scarface and them, like usually what came was a lot of people from their region. But with
Right.
Lil Wayne at this point, what came with him was a younger generation. We're bringing, Tyga in the game, and bringing Drake, and bringing Nicki Minaj. And then it
Yeah.
kind of felt like, yo, there's a new wave. Like, we keep talking about Jay-Z and Nas and all these relics of the past, like they're the number one. But Lil Wayne kind of made it cool to be like, this is who I am. I could just flow relentlessly. You know
Let
what
me
I'm saying? I can have bars and all of that. What
let
was
me
you gonna say?
yeah. Oh, excuse me, babe. So let me say this too. Now that you say that, Carter 3 dropped in 2008. It's 2018 now, so 10 years after the release of this album, and that was at the height of Lil Wayne's career, his impact is still heavily felt because right now the number one artist in the world is Drake. That's his artist.
Yeah,
Nicki Minaj is still the number one female MC in terms of success right now, 10 years later. Okay. Now, after that, the impact of all these young MCs now who mimic his style. Think about the kid that just passed away, the XXX kid that
yeah,
was just killed. Look at how he looked, the hair, the tattoos. Look at this 6ix9ine kid. Well, look how yeah, there's so many other MCs that came from Atlanta and other regions down south that look like Lil Wayne. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And you can tell that his impact did that. So absolutely, if you actually look at the same way, and I'm gonna go here, the same way Rakim and G Rap and all of them influenced the Scarfaces, Nas, and all the people Biggie after that. Lil Wayne has done his part, whether you respect it or not, influence a whole generation of MCs after him. There's no denying that. Whether you say I don't dig Lil Wayne or I don't want to hold him in the same esteem as some of the legends. But let me say this. So I used to mentor a couple of young guys years ago, and I remember one of them was like, "Look, man, Lil Wayne is my Tupac. Like you had Tupac in the '90s, bro." He's like, "I'm 15. Lil Wayne is my Tupac." And it was funny. Me and my partner at the time I worked with, we laughed about that, but we was like, "Yo, that's true." You know what I'm saying? Because this kid was like, Lil Wayne is my Tupac, Lil Wayne is my Snoop. You know what I'm saying? Who are we to say it's not? The Carter 3 is their dog style.
yeah.
If I'm a
That's
if
true.
I'm a 15-year-old kid in New Orleans and shit like that, when the Carters and Lil Wayne's work, that's the same as Me Against the World and All Eyes on Me. And this might sound blasphemous for some people. These are facts. You know what I'm saying?
No,
So,
yes, you're not lying at all.
a lot of fans don't want to look that deep into it, man, but it is that deep.
Well, fight on it. Say in regards to LeBron James basketball. I'll say it here for what people gotta understand, or hip hop fans, especially older hip hop fans, gotta understand. Like Tone said, if you were born at a different time, you ain't checking for these older cats. Now you're gonna check for them because maybe the older heads above you saying how great they were, but you're not going to relate to their time because it was a different time. And even though Lil Wayne was already deep in the game by the time the Carter 3 came out, like you said, man, this is the person they can relate to. This is the person who has all the hits. This is the lyricism they're being introduced to. You know what I'm saying? So in that regard, you have to respect it because it wasn't trash. I mean, me and Tone ain't from that era. We from the era back then with the real Tupac and the real Biggie and all of them. But real recognize real, bars recognize bars, and Lil Wayne has definitely shown what he could do. Now, Tone, Carter 3, what are you say? Some of your favorite tracks off that
Well, I do like Mr. Carter. That's a dope song. I like Mr. Officer. Is that one?
album?
Officer, yeah. Comfortable, like you had said earlier, with Babyface and produced by Lil Wayne is a dope track. Those are some of my favorite ones. And that one, Please Don't Shoot Me Down or something like that. Uh,
Shoot me down, yeah.
Shoot Me Down, man. Yeah, yeah. Please Don't Shoot Me Down is like the hook or whatever. Shoot Me Down, man, because you know I like what he was saying in the song. It's kind of a retrospective song. It's kind of like a coming of age song, but it's also he showed a little bit of pain and struggle on the song too, man. So just trying to find himself as a man, as an MC. And Lil Wayne does that sometimes throughout the album. So it's not just braggadocious or dope boy rhymes on every track. There's tracks on there, even that last track on there when he kind of blasted out shopping at the end, but they misunderstood. I like a lot as well, man. And in that song, man, he's talking about how conflict, personal conflict too, and then the conflict of being black in America. I mean, and what we deal with, what he's dealt with in the South in his life. So a lot of people don't look at some of the little intricate details he have in some of his songs because the aura of Lil Wayne, and sometimes the way he'll throw a bar here and there, you don't look deeper into what he's trying to say. But he can be very creative with some of his tracks. So yeah, I do like that misunderstood also, man. So I like that the joint with Jewels and Fab. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head right now. I don't know if you had a track listed up, but I think all three they ripped on that song a lot.
Yeah.
But it had a lot of good that song with David Banner. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, man, he has some really good songs on the album, man. I can see why it's held as a classic by some fans because it did have a classic impact. I'm not mad at it. I remember watching real quick, yeah, behind the music and Lil Wayne's it was his behind the music, and at one point one of his guys said, "Man, Jay Z on the phone," and Jay Z had reached out to Lil Wayne, and he was just kind of like, "I see you, little nigga." And that was like, and Lil Wayne was like, those kind of the whole conversation. He just want to let him know that he saw him, that he recognized what he was doing, and he liked his grind. You know what I'm saying? And that was pretty. And then he went on about his business or whatever. But that he was on everybody's radar, and I think that Carter 3 it made him a superstar, man. And the tracks were big, man. I didn't listen to Lollipop a lot because it was on the radio a lot, but I respect it for what it was. But a million was dope. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I did like a million, but I thought it was a real dope song. Dope beat, real catchy, and it'll live on in hip hop infamy. It's gonna be there.
Yeah. Now we talk about an album that's 16 tracks long, coming in just over an hour in length, so not too long, just a nice, good ride to work or whatever road trip. Take one of those hours off your road trip. Some of my favorite tracks are Millie, of course. Um, Beat Just Hard. Lil Wayne did exactly what he was supposed to do with it, which was, sometimes when you ain't got to be real intricate with your rhymes, sometimes that could be very boring. Sometimes you just need to swag certain tracks out, and he did just that. Even with the video, you know what I'm saying? I had stopped watching videos so long ago because it was so predictable, and he just has a video that's just like a throwback to times where people ain't do too much. He ain't try to wow you. The song was already dope. Um, Other records I like, obviously, Comfortable with Babyface, joint I like. Um, I like Mrs. Officer. I find that record to be dope, but at the same time funny. I love Let the Beat Build.
Yeah,
Um,
and
just,
that's by Kanye West as well.
yeah, exactly, man. Just a dope track. Just hip hop. Like if you searching for hip hop on this album, that's one of them records that exudes that. I think overall, man, I think the Carter 3 is, it's a classic for me. It's an album I actually go back to every now and again. I remember one time somebody, matter of fact, shout out to the homie Kill. It was him. Um, and it wasn't in regards to this particular album, but he had asked me about, a certain album that I considered to be really good or a classic or whatever. And it was like, do I ever go back to it? And I had to let him know. I'm like, there's some albums that are hands down. I don't even have to blink to call them classics. Like It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. But ask me when's the last time I listened to it in its entirety.
Right.
Been a long time, you know what I'm saying? Like I gotta get in that mode. But certain albums capture a certain point in time in history, in hip hop history. In Lil Wayne's case, it was a changing of the guard. That's why it was so debatable whether he was number one MC, because it was a changing of the guard, and another generation just was not prepared for it because to
Oh,
them that's not how.
yeah,
You know
he
what I'm
was
saying?
he was absolutely number one MC in 2008. You know what I mean? Just real quick, the song with Jewels and Fab is "You Ain't Got Nothing." Uh, so yeah, that was a hard track, man. And I even like "Playing with Fire," "La La" with Busta Rhymes. I mean, there's a lot of dope songs on the album, man. But yeah, to your point, he was the number one MC at that time. And if they write a book about another, they write books about hip hop all the time. They have documentaries about hip hop all the time. 30, 40, 50 years from now, when some young writer will write another book on hip hop, and trust and believe me, for anyone listening, you're crazy if you think Lil Wayne ain't got a page in there. You know what I'm saying? He does. He absolutely has a page or damn near chapter on in the history and expansion of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? He's going to be in there. The Carter Three will be looked at as one of the landmark albums in the culture because it did shift after this album. So this is like Doggy Style for Snoop, you know what I'm saying, or Outkast, Seven Playalistic, or Mr. Scarface, whatever. It's like that. Nas Illmatic. Yes, I'm saying that Biggie Ready to Die. It's like that because you have to look at more than just okay. I'm not the biggest Lil Wayne fan. It's like saying, oh, I didn't like a Too Short album, but I understand that when it came out, it was big for the West Coast and huge for Oakland. You know what I mean? So you don't have to necessarily like an artist or like an album to know the impact. So uh, this album will be around, man, and for his generation, it's absolutely, a Machiavelli or whatever the case may be. You have to look at it in that light.
Yeah, and and like we mentioned earlier, never forget the fact that it ushered in Young Money to be one of those labels in the same vein as a Rockefeller, in the same vein as a Def Jam or Cash Money or No Limit. And we're not saying like, oh, the rosters are better or oh, all the songs are better. We're just saying those labels that we think about that are synonymous with hip hop music, like Loud, like Cold Chillin', and Death Row. Um, they are remembered because there was a moment in time where they were dominant, and Young Money, led by Lil Wayne, was dominant. Whether you liked it or not, they were dominant on the radio. They had mixtapes. They had the air of everyone, not just the younger generation. And that's one of the reasons why we're talking about it on this show, because it's not about just going back in the days and going way back and giving props to just those guys from who started it or who helped bring it to another level. But we sometimes we got to bring it forward and recognize the dudes who brought it to another level in more recent times, man. But what do you think about Lil Wayne? What do you think about the Carter Three? Do you agree that in 2008 he was the number one MC? Do you feel like the Carter Three is better or worse than the Carter Two, which kind of, I know a lot of people from different ages who are like this with those albums. Leave your comments in the comment section below, man, because we would definitely like to know what you feel about Lil Wayne and this particular topic on that time in hip hop. Tone, we get to the part in this show where we recommend an album you, the viewer, should, or the listener, if you're listening, should go out and listen to. Now, obviously, some of you may go listen to the Carter Three, but we have some more recommendations for you. And my recommendation for this week is actually a mixtape, not too far out from the year 2008. It was released in 2007. Star Wars EP by Jay Electronica. Now, let me just tell you a little story about this real quick. Take you down memory lane, social media memory lane, or in general though. But I attended a show featuring or headlined by Mos Def at the time, and he was teamed up with Robert Glasper. This was before the Grammy, and I forget what they called themselves. It was like the Watermelon Syndicate or something like that. And really, what it all it was just like a freestyle show. You know what I'm saying? Where Robert Glasper was the music director of it, and Mos Def was just displaying all of his talents. He did one of his records, but he did. I mean, he did. He did. Umi Says that was the only record he did that was his. What else did he do? Did you say he did records by Ghostface? He even sung "Poison" by BBD, and he did an excellent job at that. If you didn't know, uh, like I trust me, Tone. I was in the crowd, like, no, he is not doing "Poison," but he was very good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I wasn't disappointed, but he got to a point in the show, and also shout out, rest in peace to Gil Scott Heron, who was also there, performed with Most Def. Uh, but he got to the point in the show where he was like, "Now I don't usually do this, but I'm gonna perform a record from a dude that's not really known. It's called Eternal Sunshine. It's a dude named Jay Electronica. I was listening to the lyrics and it was just blowing my mind, so I want to share it with you." And Most Def, who obviously I knew, did this song by this unknown cat named Jay Electronica, who I was like, if Most is doing this, I gotta find out who this cat is. And where did I go? I went to MySpace. Now at the time, MySpace was kind of already dead by that time. Facebook was already around. Twitter was kind of here and there. Instagram was a photography app. Don't sleep. It was a photography app in the beginning. Um, but I found the album on MySpace where Jay Electronica was still hanging out, and or the EP, and I couldn't believe how dope this dude was, and
mm,
that not a lot of people knew about him. You know what I'm saying? And when I listened to the Star Wars EP, and for those who need some context, yes, this was before all the exhibits. Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C, I believe featured most of that. Um, but this featured, some Jay Dilla beats that he was rhyming over, some Mr. Porter beats he had. I believe Big Mike was featured on this joint. I can't remember. Um, he had a "The World Is Yours" like sort of salute to Nas called "My World."
yep,
Some really dope tracks on here. Obviously, the golden nugget is "Eternal Sunshine," "The Pledge," but he has some other dope joints on here. Like what else he had on here? The "My World" joint, like I said. Uzi Weighs a Ton was dope.
yep,
Um, Something to hold on to.
yep,
Victory is in my clutches is dope. Like, just really about a dude who felt like Nas, he felt like Rakim. You know what I'm saying? Like
yep,
that, and this is a new cat. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the thing that made it so dope. This is a new guy where he's not emulating Nas, he's not emulating Rakim, but he has the consciousness and he has the street side and he has the bars to kind of mix it all together. And the way he approached his verses was just so, what I'm saying, like calculated. You know what I'm saying? So Jay Electronica with this Style Wars EP was like the beginning of the rush, and Exhibit C just took it to another level. Tone, first time you ever heard this mixtape, first time you heard Jay Electronica, what did you think?
I was sold from the first time I heard him. I heard that mixtape, and I was like, "Yo, I don't know who this dude is, but it's something special there, man. His flow, voice, the way he attacked the mic. You know what I'm saying? He was vicious, man. He was conscious, but vicious as well. You know what I'm saying? So I was
Mm-hmm.
like, man, woo, the right person get behind him. Skies can be the limit, man. And then when I heard that Exhibit A, I was like, yo, that's okay. He's really nice. Then I heard Exhibit C. I said, okay, he's out of here, man. You know what I'm saying? With his debut, official debut, he's out of there. I expect him to drop the next Ready to Die. I'm not lying. I thought he was that good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I wrote about him on IntoTheDome.com. You can go onto the website and have a article called J Electronica, the Limbos of Hip Hop. You know what I'm saying? So you guys check that out, man. I wrote it last year, but you can find it on the message board on IntoTheDome.com. But yeah, I thought he was that good. I thought he was going to be even greater. That's why Puff and so many people like Puff, Nas, Q-Tip, all these people were pushing him because they saw what you and I saw. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And Jay-Z as well. Jay-Z been one of the biggest co-signers of Jay Electronica for the last 5, 6 years. He still performs at Jay-Z, little Brooklyn festivals and all kind of stuff like that. Jay just did that song about 2 years ago. We made it with Jay Electronica. I mean, he rocked with him. People rock with Jay Electronica. He was just out at the at the Live Nation or something like that brunch the last 2 years or whatever out in California.
Mm.
He still rock hard with them. So yeah, I thought it was going to be at this point right now looked as one of the greatest MCs, and talent wise, he is one of the best I've heard. But a lot to be desired, man.
Yeah, I think looking at it in 2018 and how that official Rock Nation album never came out. Um, I mean, shit, it needs to get an award for not even being leaked. That's just amazing that it hasn't been leaked. But nevertheless, if all you know of Jay Electronica is Exhibit C and the fact they never dropped an album, do yourself a favor, go back and listen to the Style Wars EP. Pretty dope. Dope uses of Willy Wonka themes to kind of give you somewhat of a Matrix vibe. It's really, really hot the way he was able to put something together that would essentially just be a mixtape when you're rhyming over other people's beats, but really comes across as something that was well thought out as a project. Tone, what is your recommendation for this week?
My recommendation is an album that I've been talking about since it came out. The Roots' third album, Illadelph Half Life, came out in September '96, and that summer I was in summer school in college, and I had the Clones single. Clones came out July the 16th, 1996, 2 days after my birthday, and I was at the record store getting a little single, this little joint. I was like, man, this is insane. I mean, they attack clones. I mean, and of course, the Roots always talking in codes. They're talking about clones in hip hop, clones in the culture, clones in the music in general. And so they subliminal with a lot of stuff they do. It's kind of like De La Soul on Stakes is High. You know what I'm saying? So don't get it twisted. They have the junk though with their rhymes. You know what I'm saying? But when Illadelph dropped, Organics is more like a demo to me. Do You Want More was kind of more jazzy, but I was like, okay, I see where they're going with this. Very dope. And then when Illadelph came out, I was amazed, man. It started on track like number 33, 34. Roos is known to do that. It's weird the way they do their albums. So, but man, hearing Clones drove me to the album. I was already a Roots fan. What they do, video and lyrics on what they do is one of my favorite Root songs, favorite Root video probably. They were actually kind of throwing shots at the New York MCs the way they running from something in their videos. You know what I'm saying? Popping champagne in the videos and things of that nature. So if you go back and watch that, the Roots were making a mockery of it. And it kind of came to light around 2000, 2001 when Nas went on the radio station, was going off on everyone. He was so upset about this whole Jay-Z battle. So he dissed Jay-Z, dissed Cameron, he dissed Nelly, battling KRS-One, he dissed Noriega, all that. Then he dissed the Roots, calling
Mm.
them saying they performed with the King of Champagne, which was Jay-Z. Then he was like, yo, the Roots, talking about, trying to diss the legacy of Mobb Deep and Biggie and all these other rappers on that What They Do video. So Nas had paid attention to that video like a lot of other rappers did, but Nas didn't talk about it at the time. But when he was upset, the radio station, he brought that song and that video up for the Roots. What they do, you can go back on YouTube and listen to it. And I was like, damn, that is right. They were throwing them shots, you know what I'm saying, in New York, in Brooklyn and Queens, really. You know what I'm saying? But it's just a dope album, man. No alibis. I look at some of the songs. You and I verse with Q-Tip. Man. Just so many dope songs. Desperados, man. Yo, Episode with Dice Raw. Section. This album, man, you talking about a hip hop album with beats and rhymes. The Hypnotic with D'Angelo. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's a flawless album. There's not a bad beat on the album. There's not a bad song on the album. Black Thought was murderous on every track. Malik B was in a zone. You know, to me, those the Roots at their highest moment because all of the original members, I believe, were still with them. I think even Rozelle might have still been a part of them at the time. So it was just a dope album. To me, it's still the Roots' best album. I know Things Fall Apart is their most celebrated joint, but I feel like Illadelph is one of the best albums of 1996, which I always hold 1996 in high esteem. 1996 is one of the top 3 or 4 to me years in hip hop history. Go Google it if you don't believe me, and you'll see about 15 amazing albums came out that year. So match that with any other year. I would say 88 maybe, and you know I don't
Mm.
know 93, but you can check it out for yourself, man. But yeah, it'll never happen, like man, amazing album from the Roots.
Yeah, man. Like for me, like you said, man, '96 was such a monster of a year. There was so many distractions, and I was easily distracted by, Reasonable Doubt, by It Was Written, and albums like that. That Illadelph came to me through other people saying, "Yo, you need to hear this new album by the Roots." And not that I didn't enjoy bands or hip hop bands, but their music prior to that, and I'm not saying I owned everything, but as far as like singles and videos, I could really only think of like one or two joints I really liked, and the whole hip hop band vibe felt more like something else to me. But when I heard Sections and I heard Clones and what they do, I was easily turned around by stuff like Concerto over Desperado. Like I was easily turned around by hearing those records to say like, oh, they doing this now. You know what I'm saying? Like it ain't like MC at an open mic with the band, the house band playing in the background, talking about relationships or something introspective. These dudes can spit, and I kind of felt like damn, I feel like I'm late to the party, but I agree. I feel like this is their greatest album out of all of them. I could put it number one. I like Things Fall Apart, but when you come back to this particular album, man, it's just such a testament of the time in hip hop where the competitiveness and lyricism was probably at one of its heights. The way Tone mentioned, like for '96 to be so great, I think everybody was hitting the booth with the same intentions, from the Roots to everybody else was, are we better? And everybody was talking about everybody also, like the What They Do album, or the video. Honestly, when I saw the video, I got that straight across with the
Right.
bottle and the running. It was hilarious, but
Was
I
on that.
knew exactly who they were talking about.
Yep.
They were talking about basically every Hype Williams video you can think of,
Yep.
along with everybody else like Benny Boom and all these cats. But nevertheless, a very dope album that you should go check out, man. The Roots, Illadelph Half Life, J Electronica's Star Wars EP. I don't know if it's on title, but I know it's free 99. So you can find it on livemixtapes.com or Dat Piff or one of them like that. But Tone, this was a very dope show, man. If y'all got some recommendations, please leave them in the comment section. We ain't too bougie on hip hop, or we ain't hip hop police to not check out some dope albums or some recommendations you think we should go back and listen to. If you want some more information on this show and also the audio version, you can go to enterthedome.com. That's enterthedome.com. And you can not only watch and listen to this podcast, but you can read Tone's articles on some of these artists, including the J Electronica piece that I'm definitely going to check out myself because I haven't looked at that one. But that's enterthedome.com. Also, subscribe to this channel, the B Roll Network, not only for hip hop content like this, but also other things like a video game series that I started where I'm just being an old man who got a bunch of games and I'm gonna try to beat them. And y'all gonna watch me be terrible in some of them, and people seem to like it, so it's gonna continue. You know what I'm saying? But till next time, y'all, man, go out and support hip hop on behalf of myself, Vegas, and Tone. Peace.
Peace.
Drop it on the random.